Hi, this is LeAura Alderson with My Trainer Fitness here today with HattieJames. If you haven't seen her story, we'll link to it because she's written her story and we've posted it on My Trainer Fitness. And we're really excited to have her here today to talk about her experience as well. So welcome, Hattie.
Hi.
Hi.
For having me.
Wonderful to have you. And so Hattie's is a wonderful journey of an incredible weight loss story. But before we get to that, could just give us a few, a little bit of background about where you are and what you do.
I live in Boise, Idaho. I was born and raised here in the Treasure Valley. I'm the oldest of three girls. My parents, my dad is a welder and a metal fabricator, and we were lucky that we had our parents both home with us from the time I was 11. And my mom, took care of us and stuff. And my younger sister lives in the house that we grew up in with her two little kids.
Nice.
And we all live within about half an hour of each other now. I'm the only one who ever went away and came back. Except for my youngest sister who briefly moved to Australia and then came back. But I'm, kind of the adventurer, I guess. I traveled to Europe a few times and lived away for a couple of years and, by choice, and came back, and, I love it here. And I'm a writer and researcher, and worked for 8 years for a local municipality before deciding it was time to do something different. And I'm finishing, I have 2 weeks left in my MBA program.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm ready to be done. It's, that's kind of taken over life, as you can probably see in the background.
It's okay.
That make gym time a little difficult, but at the same time I've gotten to the point where it's easier to maintain than it ever could have been before. So
So now the Treasure Valley, it is called?
Yeah, the Treasure Valley, it's southwest part of Idaho. So it's like Boise, Nampa. It's like the largest metropolitan area in Idaho.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask I've heard about an area I always thought Idaho would be really cold in the winters, but I've heard recently about an area of Idaho that's a little bit more, like what do you call, like a Mediterranean region, that it has some, nice areas, like almost like an area that's sheltered from the cold, from the extreme cold. Is that where you are? Is that part of it?
Have you heard? What part is that you've heard about?
I don't remember. That's why I was wondering if it was the Treasure Valley. I'll have to dig that up.
When I was young, it was always really cold. Like my birthday was last week, and I remember snow on my birthday when I was little.
Yeah.
But last week it was in the 70s, and when we went and did my birthday party, we had a little mini wine tour because my parents live out in our famous sort of wine country.
Yeah.
We were wearing shorts and t-shirts.
Nice. Yeah.
So, it just kind of depends.
Yeah. You never know. So, and so your work, is it all freelance, or do you have a specific job?
Yeah, I work on the side freelance, and then I work for an online marketing company. So.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. Well, happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah. So that was the catalyst for the lifestyle change.
Right.
So
so let's dive into that. So when you say that was the catalyst, how old were you when you decided to make that change?
36.
Which was that your last birthday?
No, that was 3 years ago. I just turned 39. So
okay. Yeah, okay, a great year, 30. So so do you remember where you were when you decided that you just didn't want to live that way anymore? What you were doing and what made the difference, or was it a gradual thing?
Well, part of it is because I was born with a heart defect. And I'll do this.
That's good. No, that's okay. It's good because we're just being real. So that's
right.
good.
So I was born with a heart defect and had open heart surgery when I was 8 months old. Now babies who are born with that specific defect, in certain circumstances, they can be pretty much cured of it because they can have a procedure called an arterial switch where it flips the aorta and the vena cava and fixes basically the defect. When I was born in the 70s, they didn't know that they could do that within 2 weeks of birth and everything would in theory be okay.
Yeah.
And so when I was born and I had my surgery in 77, my parents were told I wouldn't live past the age of 12. And they never told me that. I mean, because what good would that have done?
Right, totally.
But, there was still a little bit of, firstborn kid, she may not make it. We better be careful. So I didn't do a lot of things. I always had the doctor's note in PE, she can't do jumping jacks and she can't run. And when I turned 24, I remember my mom going, "Oh, you're twice what you were supposed to be." Pardon? And so then I finally kind of had that in my head that, oh, well, but I didn't really take care of myself at the same time. Because most people who have this heart defect have, signs of heart failure, get diabetes, have high blood pressure, have all these other symptoms. And I have never had any of that despite being heavy and not taking care of myself and all of that. My youngest sister is a PA and she's like, "You're kind of a freak of nature. I don't understand why she's like, you should have all of this. Medically speaking, you should have all these problems, but you don't." And so I was kind of like, well, whoop-de-doo, then I'm not, I don't need to take care of myself. And so I didn't. And when I hit 36, it was like I was tipping the scales at 300 pounds, as you can read in the article and also see. And I thought, well, I'm not going to make it to 48 if I don't make a change. And so that's how it all kind of came about. So
when you were, around 24, when you heard your mother say that, or on your 24th birthday, actually, what was your weight like then?
I don't remember.
Okay. So in other words, when you were tipping the scales at nearly 300 pounds, when you were 36, how long did it take you to get there? How long had you been obese?
Oh, my whole life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the closest I had been, I'm healthier as on a whole than I was when I was a teenager, and I'm 39.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been, I had been like that my whole life. So I don't remember exactly what I was when I was 24. I was student teaching, not quite student teaching. At that point, I was student teaching when I was 25. So it was right before then. I was, yeah.
So when you were, so basically you were overweight, even obese most of your life, all your life that you can remember.
I was Happy Hattie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was that what kids called you?
Yep. Kids I didn't even know.
Oh, wow. That's tough. So that was also your perception of yourself.
Oh, yeah. Still is in a way.
I was going to ask that next, but before we started recording our call, you and I were talking briefly, and you were saying that, you didn't like to look at yourself in the mirror. And then when you caught a sight of that picture, which is posted on your article, you were at a gym and an event, Special Special Olympics
I
event.
was volunteering for the World Winter Games. We had them here in Idaho. And I had an aunt whom I never knew who had Down syndrome. And so I volunteered for my mom, her sister. And yeah, and a friend who I met through Special Olympics and I keep in touch with via Facebook, she took that picture and I just was like, oh, that's me? I look like that? Oh my God. Yeah.
So, okay, so let's talk about that for a minute, because one of the things I have recently come to realize is that, sort of like, I know I have people in my family, it's the same way, where it's sort of like they don't want their pictures taken.
Right.
And I've certainly felt that way when like when it gets to be around between Christmas and New Year's and we've been doing extra treats, and yet covering it up with sweaters. It's like, but I don't want to have my picture taken then, and yet that's the time that pictures are taken because family's together, but I remember thinking, I don't want my picture taken now. But examining the psychology of that, what I realize I'm saying is, I don't want to see how you see me. I don't want to see how I really look because you didn't want to look in the mirror and you didn't want to see that picture and you hated it. And yet every day you had the chance to see it and didn't want to.
Right.
So isn't that kind of an interesting mentality or psychology of how, when we allow ourselves to get that way for others to see every day, but then when faced with a picture of it ourselves, we don't want to see it and we try and delete the photo if we can.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. My younger sister just reconnected with one of her high school best friends, and my sister isn't on social media at all, and I am, and so this young lady reconnected with me so that she could see pictures of my sister's kids and stuff, because I put them on, Facebook, and she started digging around in my profile and found pictures of me, before, as it were. And she made a comment, and, I love her. But it was like, what she said was, oh, that's the Hattie that I remember. And I was like, no. That I don't know who that is anymore.
Yes. I got chills when you said that, because that was what I was going to ask next. Is you said a few minutes ago that sometimes you still feel, like Fattie Hattie, because you lived that for 36 years.
Right.
And it's really hard to change our mindset, but you had a mindset shift that happened before you really started that said, no more.
Right.
No more. This is not who I am. This is not who I want to be. I've got to change.
Always be a part of me because that was my past.
Yeah.
But that's not who I am anymore.
Right.
So sure, I broke my tailbone last December and I can't jog because I was starting to jog. And I can't do it right now because I broke my tailbone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, to have been that way my whole life and to get to 38 years old and jogging.
Yeah.
Was
huge.
Yeah.
Huge. It's like, it really is a whole, so you're, one of the sites that we have also is boomersreinvented.com, because I'm a baby boomer at 56 currently. And
my parents are baby boomers. Yeah. They're 66. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, but the passion for that is the realization that, again, our past need never need never restrict our future, that, the horizon before us is always wide open. And,
it's just a number too.
Yeah, exactly. It is just a number. So there you are, 36 now, 38, 39 now. Mm-hmm. And you have reinvented yourself. And you mentioned you have mirrors in the walls behind you, and we were talking about that before we started, and how you
look at them all the time now.
What's that?
I look in them all the time now.
All the time, and how wonderful, because now you're reinforcing the new you. It's like saying, hey, I like myself now. I like how I look, and I like what that means about me, and that is that I'm taking responsibility for my life to be the best that I can be.
Yeah. it sounds vain. But
No, not at all.
you have to do it for yourself. My family tried to get me to take better care of myself for years, and they would, for lack of a better word, harp on it. And finally they stopped, and that was kind of when I was like, okay, that's my turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, really? So it took them.
Now I, then I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to do it on my terms. And they let it go. And so I was like, okay, now I'll do it.
Interesting. A strong streak of resistance then.
Oh, we're so stubborn. It's just a James family trait.
So they stopped harping on it, but then you started. I mean, when they were harping on it, it was probably bouncing against the shield that you had built around yourself.
Oh, exactly. Yep. Oh,
bouncing off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how has, so this is the thing that's so hard. So I want to keep kind of coming at that from another angle a bit. And that is, so many people struggle with weight, and it's such, as we know, a huge problem in our country, in the world right now, and it isn't in a way our fault. I mean, your situation was very different, and yet in spite of physical maladies, you overcame. And so for those of us that don't even have that excuse and yet have allowed ourselves to get too fat or whatever, it's
I think of it as not heavy or fat or anything. It's just unhealthy.
Yeah. Unhealthy lifestyles. Yeah, exactly.
That was part of it for me, was trying to change the way that I thought and spoke, because ex-English teacher.
Yes.
Very deliberate in how I speak when people ask me, are you on a diet? No. I changed my diet.
Good. Yeah.
Not the same thing. We've bastardized the word diet.
Yes.
Into a weight loss gimmick.
Yeah.
And that's why nobody loses weight anymore and gets healthy anymore, is because you're on a diet.
Yeah.
No. Diet means the foods that you eat every day.
Yeah.
And what I did was I changed my diet, and that's how I started. And when somebody asks me how since hurting myself and starting grad school, I've gained weight back, but I can still, for the most part, wear most of the clothes that I bought after I went. But I changed my diet first, and that was the key, because I couldn't move because I was so heavy.
Yeah.
And I have exercise-induced asthma because of the heart defect. That's the one thing. And so it was the diet first.
Yeah.
Getting rid of all of and just getting rid of all of the stuff in my house.
Yeah.
And starting there and having the plan, like you pulled out of the article, and I saw it on the Facebook page, it's having the plan. Sometimes the plan goes out the window.
Yeah.
Because broken tailbones in grad school. But the
lifestyle doesn't. So the lifestyle change continues. So you may not be jogging, but you can still walk. You may be not able to
hiking. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I think that part of the problem is we're all so busy. I mean, look, you're working full time and then some with your freelance work, plus you're going to grad school.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have kids, so you don't have that time thing in your schedule, but it's still a very busy schedule. It's like your part-time job is your kid in a way. You have those other things going on. But the thing and this is the problem, this is for me, a real struggle, is we started this fitness company, fitness products, and now we're working all the time sitting. at a
Right.
computer. It's like, wow, it's just not getting. When I first started this, I was actually going to a personal trainer, getting well myself and getting fit myself and resolving chronic back pain and reversing osteopenia, the precursor to osteoporosis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was a stay-at-home mom. We were homeschooling, but so I had at least an hour every day that I could dedicate to fitness, and I rarely get that now. And what I find though is once you get to a certain level of fitness, and I'm not where I was when we started this in 2010, and I would like to be, and I will be again, but once you get to a certain level of fitness, it doesn't take as much to keep it up.
Right. No, it doesn't.
And everything you do, so like if we're really busy, I'm right now working 16-hour days, 7 days a week. But what I can do is take a 5-minute break and do a quick fitness circuit, even on the
walk around the building.
Yeah.
Or,
stairs. Yeah, take stairs. Stairs. We were at a recent conference in Las Vegas, and so we were eating more, restaurant kind of food, even though we still eat healthy food there, but no exercise because it started early in the morning. I didn't want to get up super early to go to the gym, and so
I'm not a morning person.
Well, I like mornings, but we were studying. It's like we had to do our work before the conference started, and then we had the conference, and so we didn't. But what we did do is we took stairs everywhere we went, and I actually lost a few pounds and gained muscle mass just from taking the stairs 2 at a time everywhere we went.
I gained muscle mass by changing my diet because I changed to it's kind of evolved from strictly paleo because paleo, you can't just cut out everything or you'll go crazy.
Right.
But because I had it just naturally changed my metabolism. And I was like, oh, look, I have a little bit of, and I didn't even do anything for that, But I take stairs as much as I can. I have to be a little careful of multiple flights of stairs. But yeah, it just, once you hit that threshold, it is easier to maintain it because you have literally made it your lifestyle.
That's right.
That's sure. Right. Like on homework nights, I go and get, a $5 gluten-free pizza in a box from Fred Meyer. I don't have time to cook. I just can't. And like paleo and gluten-free cooking for one person takes forever. And then I feel great when I'm doing it, but sometimes it's just there's no time when I work 4/10s for my full-time job. We start at 7:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I gotta come home and I have to do homework.
Yeah.
Not for much longer.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost done. That's
But it
So take us back to, again, I want to get to this mindset thing. So the biggest thing that we see and that most of us wrestle with is the motivation and the perseverance. So, I mean, you stuck with it for 3 years from where you first started, we're 3 years later and you begin to see changes. I mean, I presume though, you begin to see changes immediately. And it's like, what was different about we've all been on diets and many diets, as you say, and a lot of the reason they don't work is for the reason you're so well articulated, having to do with our mindset around diet and misuse of the word, and looking at it as a moving towards short-term goals as opposed to a lifestyle change. Right. It really needs to be a lifestyle change.
It needs to be a lifestyle change.
But you decided that, and you decided that when it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to look at yourself and feel yourself in your body. Then, like you said, you could barely even walk for exercise at that weight with your condition. So, how do you think this time was different mindset wise, and what really helped you stick with it even during when the going got tough?
I don't know what, I mean, I think my circumstance is different. I had that unique motivation that, with the the heart defect and stuff, I have that unique motivation to make that lifestyle change. But at the same time, I did it for selfish reasons. I did it for me. I did it so I could walk into whatever clothing store I wanted and pull something off the rack and wear it. My youngest sister got married last summer, and we were all bridesmaids, and I went into J. Crew, and my dress was a 10. I was in a 24.
Wow.
My dress was 10. I started bawling.
Yeah.
Middle of the,
Yeah.
I was in a size 10. I'm 5'10", and I was in a size 10 dress. I probably can't get in it right now, but but it was a size 10 dress. You everybody has unique reasons for doing what they do. And it's a perfect storm of reasons. It can be multiple ones. In my case, it was multiple ones. I was sick of walking in, having to go into, specialty stores, because I'd had to do that my entire life. I wanted to go into Ann Taylor and wear whatever I wanted. I wanted to go into, J. Crew and pull something off the rack and wear Anthropology, and I'd never been able to do that. And now I can, because who doesn't love clothes?
Right. And pretty things.
It sounds superficial, but that's the truth.
No, I don't think it's superficial. I mean, we have the beautiful blessing of flowers. We have the beautiful blessing where we are of fall, and the leaves changing colors. And I think that we are wired for beauty. Yeah. We're wired for beauty and to appreciate it. Yeah. And it is interesting. The universally, when we begin to change and improve our physical, we begin to change and improve all areas of our life.
Yeah.
And yet, so it's strongly mindset, because we have to make our mind up to do it.
Yes.
But once we do make up our mind, and then what happens is the positive of the physical feeds the positive of the mindset, but it also does the reverse. So when we're going downhill in that, then, we make the wrong choices. We feel bad about ourselves, and we need something to make us feel good about ourselves, so it's a really vicious cycle. But that vicious cycle, all we need to do is turn it around. Turn it, almost like flip it from counterclockwise to clockwise, and then we're going, where we want to go.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. And the positive physical feeding the positive mental, and it's also the other way around. The positive mental feeds the positive physical at the same time. So
exactly. Mm-hmm. And then the feedback from friends and family. Did you have anyone in your life that sabotaged your efforts?
No.
Good.
No. My dad is funny. I had a heart attack a couple years ago, and I keep trying to get him to quit eating sugar, and he's so funny. He's like, "Oh, there's nothing worse than a convert." Yeah. Because I haven't eaten white sugar in 3 years, mm-hmm. And but he's 66. He can keep eating sugar if he wants to.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess my take on that is that, yes, if there's never too late to change.
No.
For some people, the payoff is not enough. Right. The payoff could be that he gets to stick around longer and see his kids and grandkids,
and he has to do it on his own.
Exactly. He has to do it on his own. Yeah. It has to be worth it for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the reason I asked the question about sabotage is because I know that with, in a lot of situations, it could be husband and wife, it could be parent-child, where it is that
I don't have any of that,
Yeah.
Right.
You
No,
have
no,
parents and they were
I have
supportive.
parents and siblings, but I have I have no kids. I have no significant other,
Right.
and I think that made it a lot easier for me because I can do what I want.
And also coworkers. So your full-time job, are you still working from home or do you go to an office?
I go to an office, but I wasn't working there when I did this.
Okay.
That being said, I guess in that case, there were people at work who, you're getting too skinny. What I still weighed, you would not say that.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm so tall.
Yeah.
It looked like I was, to them, comparatively speaking, I was getting really skinny, but
Right.
I was gaining muscle mass, and I wasn't getting too skinny.
Yeah. Well, it's all relative. It's totally relative. So yeah, and what they were having to do is release their old image of you in the same way that you were having to release. It's like no longer identifying with what was familiar and letting that go. But I know that in some cases for some people, and this is really hard, especially if it's a spousal situation and the other person doesn't want to lose weight. Then there are times where they might, instead of encourage you to get fit and go to the gym or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a friend that happened to, and yeah.
Yeah. That's, but people that are encountering that, they have to be the strong ones and resolve. But like your dad said, not the converts, hopefully. I mean, because that's the thing. It can be so annoying to those who aren't yet ready. Because if you're, if people at work were,
I don't bug him about it anymore.
Yeah, no, but if someone at work says you're getting too skinny, a lot of times those people are already fat themselves.
Not in this case.
Not in this case.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. And I put on her size small jacket one time. It was pretty funny.
That was her way of complimenting you, though. I mean,
yes, I think so. That it was, yeah.
So Hattie, tell us what your primary exercise routine is now, or you can say what it is now, what you're going to get back to when you're fully recovered and you've got your master's degree that you've been working so hard on and you have a little more time.
Right now, when I get up, we have a gym right next to our work, and our company pays for our gym memberships.
Nice.
And so right now I just go and, cardio on the treadmill, walk as fast as I can handle it. And then sometimes we'll work out with the trainer. We started a sort of a mobility, and because I have some, tightness and stuff, and getting back into stretching and things like that. So just starting slow with that, because I did hurt myself you break your tailbone.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you slip on ice?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The previous job that I had, I worked downtown Boise, and I rode the bus. And it was just a 2-minute walk from my house to the bus stop, and hurrying in the morning. Neighbor's driveway.
Oh, yeah. So it was very close to home. So how were you able to get up? Did you have to?
Yeah, I went to work, which was stupid.
Oh.
Yeah, I should have just I fell right next door to my house, right in the neighbor's driveway, and went to work. Oh. Which I should not have done.
Oh my gosh. So what did you do then? How does a broken tailbone get treated even?
It doesn't. My youngest sister, who's the PA, I texted her, and she's like, "Oh, buddy, have fun with that.
Oh,
there's nothing you can do."
Wow.
So she's like, "You just can't do anything for 3 to 4 months," and it was closer to 6 because I wouldn't hold still. I kept trying to work out.
So were you able to do things like, weights from a lying position even at home?
Yeah, I would still try. At the time, I was going to a different gym, and I would use that 30-minute circuit. And so I would kind of avoid the machines where I had to be back on my tailbone, if I could.
Yeah. So I guess you orchestrated some kind of thing where you could get your laptop going while you were laying in bed, reclined in bed. Did you get propped up on pillows, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was really hard to sleep for a little while.
Yeah, I can imagine. Get the pillow between the knees kind of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
I actually slept on the donut.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so what do you want your fitness routine to get back to, and also share about your diet now if you're not doing just well, it's your lifestyle, you're eating for life, your lifestyle.
It is my diet.
Yeah, it's your diet, your lifestyle diet.
I want to get back into, because before I was doing cardio, had four or five times a week, and then weight training. No, it was weight training 5 times a week and cardio about 3.
That sounds like a great ratio.
Yeah. It's been a while. So I'd like to get back to that, because that felt good, slept, all that stuff. Work with the trainer to develop that, and he's really good at working with me, and he's a pretty funny little guy. Sings show tunes when we train. Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Character. He keeps me entertained as well as on it. So and then I mostly just try to stick with whole foods, because, and no processing whatsoever. That was even before I changed my lifestyle, because I get chronic migraines, and a lot of them were related to what I was ingesting. And so.
Do you get those now?
Oh yeah, still do. Yeah, when you get them, you get them. There's only so much you can do. I take medication for them, and knock on wood.
Yeah.
But they have decreased in frequency and pain level since I made the changes and implemented the drug regimen, kind of the combination of the two. But yeah,
Have you ever been tested for for food allergies relative to the migraines?
No, I've been tested for allergies in general, and apparently don't have any.
You can't rely on that 100% of the time. So there's a lot of research out there about food allergies and migraines or sensitivities to food, including gluten. I will link that as well to our notes on this interview in case that's of help to anyone out there. And so just personally speaking, in my family, for instance, between my daughter, myself, and my mom, all had allergy tests that did not show that we were allergic to things that we distinctly know we're allergic to, that have been unequivocally proven. So for instance, she's very highly gluten intolerant, and soy. I'm very highly soy intolerant, and yet about 3 different allergy tests did not show that.
Yeah, sometimes the food ones are very hard to detect.
Yeah.
And now that I don't, eat gluten by choice,
right,
it affects me, pretty significantly when I do. Because sometimes I'll choose to do so because I can.
Yeah.
But
then you have the freedom to choose, and then that you're going to pay the consequences.
Yeah, and sometimes the consequences are, significantly higher than others. It just depends on what I'm, choosing to eat. If it's bread, I'm just like,
Yes.
and if it, sometimes I'll have a beer, then I'm, just a little bit sleepy and that's it. But, it just kind of depends on, when you choose to, I'm lucky that I can choose to do that. I have a friend who's celiac and it drives her nuts. She's like,
Yeah.
and my younger sister after I did this, she decided she was going to go paleo, and she was like, wow, I'm definitely gluten intolerant. Yeah.
Yeah.
She told me that after I made this change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she avoids it pretty much at all costs. Well,
it doesn't make sense to me that our civilization, so many are gluten intolerant when we've eaten it for, genetically for centuries. But again, it's different. It's a different grain. We've done an article on that and I'll link to, but it's a different grain now than it was even 50 years ago. Between the GMO and the pesticides, it's just a totally different grain. So it is leading to, and I think that the good news is there's so many more gluten-free options. Not all of them are healthy. Many of them may not be also, and yet the repercussions are not as bad as long as it's used moderately. So like if you want a piece of toast, but it's not something you have every day and you have gluten-free, then, it's still a whole lot less ramifications than if you have a gluten piece of toast, like a regular wheat piece of toast. So it's good that there are more options today for sure. Yeah. And so I think really what you're describing is what we are going through. And that is just the concept of just testing. You can go and pay for expensive tests and it may or may not tell you something. And they're more likely to then prescribe a medication that could have also other side effects, not to mention expense. So in the end, we're, physician heal thyself. There's a lot that we can do for ourselves to heal our own circumstance as evidenced by, your whole story.
Right. And, my sister, who's a PA, is even like, well, your food is your medicine.
Yeah.
As she eats her cookie. Don't tell her I said that. But, she's brilliant. She keeps up on all that stuff. And, but yeah, she's the first one to point to food as not only fuel, but also medicine. It's what you're eating is taking care of you. And which is part of the reason why she wanted to kill me for not taking care of myself.
Yeah. And it's so hard when your loved ones are making choices that are not good for them. And when they would make the choices that would make a life difference for them, a total transformation, as yours did for you. It's
I made them so angry for so long, but they figured out that I had to do it for myself.
That's right. It had to be when you were ready, and when you were ready.
I was ready. Yeah.
When you were ready, there was no stopping you.
Right.
So that's the thing.
When and then that sister is the one. And I don't know, she was driving down the street in Boise, and I was walking to the bus one day after work, and I heard her yell out the window, like something, and I turned around, and then she was in her car driving down the street, and later she called me and she said, I was driving down the road and I was like, oh, look at that gal with the cute short hair, and oh, look at her dress, and oh, look at her shoes, and oh my God, that's my sister. I had no idea it was me.
Aww.
Because, and it still happens that, people that I see every day still, if I am on the street, they're like, oh, well, that was Hattie. Okay.
Yeah.
My own, it happened to my own sister. She thought I was somebody else until she got close enough and then went, son of a.
Yeah. So last couple of questions before you go for today. you've made these tremendous changes, in your late 30s. And, so it's like you've carved an entirely different, or you've created a blank canvas in which you can paint an entirely different future. And you're doing that already by taking on things like getting your master's degree. And then
totally didn't happen until after I made this.
Yeah, because, well, in part, would you think it was because of self-image, or because you wouldn't have had the energy, or what was the difference in making the decision?
All of the above.
All of the above, yeah.
It was probably all of the above. I didn't, energy, self-motivation, self-worth, maybe a little bit. Probably not a little bit, but
So what other lifestyle things have you changed, if anything, besides eating in a different kind of way, exercising, and now you're going to the masters? I mean, those are huge things. But has there been any other lifestyle thing you've changed that like whether it's a hobby or things that you do in your free time besides exercise when you can? And I know you haven't had free time for a while. So when you get your free time back, what kind of lifestyle things have you changed besides your food?
Leaving a job that I had for 8 years to go do what I wanted. That was a big deal. I'd had that job for the longest I'd ever had a job. And I was working for a government agency. I could have had that job for the rest of my life. But it wasn't what I wanted. And I think it was just kind of a snowball effect, starting this and then the masters, and I wasn't going to leave that job to go look for something else until I was done with my masters, but it all just sort of started to fall into place. And now I'm there. I've been there for about 4 months now and love it. And they want, so.
What kind of things do you do for fun? What kind of hobbies do you have?
Right now? None.
Well, in general. Do you remember before masters?
Yeah. It hasn't been that long. It's only been 17 months, but it still feels like forever.
Yeah.
I read all the time when I can.
Do you listen to audiobooks?
No.
You don't like them? Have you tried it?
I have tried them.
Doesn't work for you?
No.
Oh.
I once tried to, I consummate ex-English teacher. I have to have the book in my hand.
Okay.
And then I once tried to listen to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone audiobook while driving the car, and I almost ran off the freeway. I don't know what it is, but I can't concentrate.
Okay. Well, some people are like that. I rarely read books anymore because I'm at the computer sitting all the time. And so the last thing I want to do for recreation is sit. And so audiobooks have been transformative for me and my family. It works for all of us. So for those who do, that can make a big difference.
Oh, definitely. I know a lot of people who listen to them when they work out.
Yeah.
I would probably go. So I have a hard enough time on the treadmill anyway. I like walking outside, but free gym membership, I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But writing, and I've sewed since I was 11. And then got a nice sports car of a sewing machine a few years ago. So, but have not put it to use in about a year. Poor thing. So I'm looking forward to using it again. So.
Well, that's a creative thing that you'll have time for. So are you going to do anything in particular with your master's degree right away, or is just one of the check marks on your box of wishes?
It's a bit of a check mark on the box. I hope that I can put it to use at the new job, and maybe starting something on the side too. So
yeah, cool. Well, again, life ahead of you is wide open, and you've totally changed it. You've turned it around. Well, thanks so much.
than I used to have.
A lot more energy, yeah. And which means essentially that translates as a lot more life.
Yes.
You know, you just have a lot more life than you used to. And wow, you know, that's so much for the malady when you were younger. I mean, you completely turned that around as well, as far as, you know, what's possible for you and the years that you have ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Hattie, for sharing your story and opening up. And I know it's, you know, it's been a long journey, and thanks for your inspiration. What?
It's not over yet.
Yeah, no, it's well, again, it's just the beginning of the next trip, you know, the next trip in the chapter of this life, this part of life.
Another thing I'm looking forward to doing when I get done with this program is traveling a little bit.
Do you have a trip planned or a destination that you'd like to go first?
I have a friend down just in Salt Lake that I need to go visit. She and her husband and their little boy. So yeah.
Start there.
Start there. Start with a short one.
Excellent. Well, keep in touch and let us know how things are going. And make sure you get back to the gym after when you can.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. There you go.
Yeah.
Any last thing that you want to share before we go? To encourage people, you know, that, you know, what the difference is made for you, and anything
do it for yourself. That's the only person that you can do it for.
Yeah.
Do it for yourself. Do
it for yourself. Absolutely. Yeah. Like
you're number one.
That's right. Yeah. Because it is your life.
It is it's your life. It's your decision. You have to make it for yourself, and you can't let other people make it for you.
You can't let them make it for you, nor be the reason, because in the end, you know, it's your life. And if it matters enough to us, you know, it has to matter enough to us for it to work. And then, but the thing is, you know, you were saying earlier that it may sound vain or selfish or whatever, but, you know, there's only one us. And when we do it for ourselves and we create more energy and life in our life, then it affects and impacts everyone else around us in a positive way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Hattie, for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me on here to share my story.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.